Okay, today I didn't want to do any filming on season 2 yet. I wanted to get to episode 800 and then go to season 2. We had 777 back there and kind of brushed over it. This is episode 98 of the 798 of the review show, and we have suggested many times to the Simon Whistler character from England, the guy with the beard that does the plays, the business plays, that he should do an article on E.T. the Extraterrestrial and M&M's. Someone did a paper article here in June, back in MWN blog. Did an article on this already. E.T. was a Steven Spielberg Amblin movie. The first Amblin movie, really, before the Amblin logo even had the bike going over the moon. That's from E.T. It came out in '82. Now, the controversy of it, we could talk about E.T. being one of the greatest sci-fi movies of all time. It certainly is. Not so much the remake where he took all the guns out in 2012, but the good one with the guns and the suspense. Otherwise, there's no suspense if they take the suspense out. It's a little film about a little alien and who comes to Earth, and he meets a boy and a family, and dysfunctional family, and the alien learns how to relate to humans and stuff. It's a very similar plot to Bumblebee, which came out decades later, with being a robot alien in that case. This was a alien plant creature that looked like a little goblin guy. E.T. One of the favorite movies from '82. And the 80s, and really the 80s and 90s were the favorite. Back then I was 11 when it came out. So, but it's not just mine. It became a major hit movie that year. Oscar nods and everything else. The odd thing is that this article is not about E.T. so much as it's about, although it could be a review of E.T., I guess. Looking back on E.T., I guess that's kind of what this is. Let's do that. So it has that in it, the controversy. I'll just do the controversy, though, for this one. Yeah, that's fine. Advertising products in movies was a new thing in the 80s, the early 80s. Making cartoon shows and things that were selling toys was relatively new as well. So, yeah. But the big candy manufacturers, M&M, Mars, and Hershey's, and Peter Paul Mounds, and all of those, had tie-in promotional ads and such. McDonald's, of course. These names you've still heard of. I think eventually M&M and Mars merged, and some of Peter Paul went away and merged with the other ones. Hershey's still around, but I think they're associated with M&M Mars now, indirectly. I've been to the Hershey plant and the Peter Paul Mounds plant back in the day. Yeah, so when I was a kid. But yeah, but not to the M&M's plant. So we have this marketing for this movie. Apparently, that's the guy that did Jaws, so they should know. When a marketing candy company in 1980 or so, 81 or so, is approached by a studio and they say it's Steven Spielberg from Jaws, they should immediately go, "Oh, what do you want? What do you want to do?" They should immediately say that. They did not. They didn't want to do it. They even had the promotional thing. Even the book version of E.T. says it's M&M's. Even in the book version, the novel, says it's M&M's. It's not. It's Reese's Pieces. You know why it's Reese's Pieces? Because M&M didn't want to do it. 1982. They said there was some exec back then that was like, "Oh, this is science fiction movie. It's going to sell." Oh. And they went with it. They liked the script for whatever reason or whatever. So the product placement scene is the place where Elliot leads E.T. out of the shed with candies. He puts out the candies on the ground. E.T. follows him and eats them, which would probably kill an alien, but maybe that's what made him sick later. Anyway, but no. So that was going to be the product placement, as E.T. was going to eat M&Ms. Like, even an alien from space likes M&Ms. As this article also pointed out, some exec there didn't like the idea of a movie about an alien eating candy. Like, why not? I bet somebody got fired. That's why, after this one. Because, yeah, even though it sends a shiver, you know, in advertising or whatever. It sends a shiver, because, like, how could they not have known? Even then, even hindsight, they should have just like backtracked and said whatever. Oh, their rival company, Reese's Pieces, which arguably would not exist today. It wasn't for their appearance in E.T., the extraterrestrial. Reese's Pieces jumped on it and said, we'll do it. And they ended up doing E.T. the movie. The movie went on to gross $1 billion over time. Got Oscar nods. Got ridiculous fan following. It's the cult classic. And a classic. Somebody at M&M's must have gotten fired after this, because within 2 or 3 years, it was like less than 2 or 3 years, by the time the Oscars rolled around, it was getting accolades and reviews everywhere. Everybody loved it. Everybody loved E.T. the Extraterrestrial. It was like a kid version of Close Encounters. It was easier to follow. It was like, Close Encounters also one of the greatest. And Steven Spielberg, they should have known. Spielberg, Jaws, at Close Encounters, they should have said immediately, oh, that guy. Yes, we want to put our candy in your movie. Reese's Pieces did, and they're still here. And Simon Whistler won't do this story. The story's hilarious. He should go up and look it up and see how, like, oh my gosh. He probably doesn't care about American candy, all stuffy. But it's like, no, he's got to do this one, too. He's got to get his boy Danny in there and have him analyze it. But yeah, Over the Blaze, because on the dumb marketing decisions channel, that this is one of the big ones. It's like, you don't do that. You don't do that. You put your candy in the movie. And it's backfired since. I mean, there's been movies that really should not have included product placement. Even the 1978 Superman movie has a Coke sign. The sequel, Superman 2, guy gets thrown into the Coke sign, of course. Even the Peanuts gang had like Coke commercials in the beginning. So they cut them out of all the re-releases and DVD, but there were advertising for Coke and Pepsi at the beginning of those, back in the 70s. They would put an advertisement up, and they would walk by a Coke sign, Pepsi sign, or something. Yeah, Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown is a soft drink commercial, basically, but in the 70s. So they were doing stuff like that back then, so they should have known. They just weren't doing as much. Peanuts was already doing it. But yeah, so that's my story on the Reese's Pieces. It eventually became one of the highest grossing sci-fi movies of all time. Family films of all time. Beating out Disney at the time. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so they really blew that one. There's been other bad advertising where they've done things, but this, how could they? It's unbelievable that it's just, even hindsight from even a year later at the time, it's like, how could you screw that up so bad? It's amazing. It's like E.T. and M&M's, and that E.T. Reese's Pieces got the job because M&M's was too squeamish. They just didn't like it. One of the producers was saying it was too dumb. Yeah, they should have just said, okay, you can get out. But yeah, Reese's Pieces and E.T. Yeah, that's why you get to see Reese's Pieces on a shelf today. $1 billion movie. Well, it made $1 billion. And then they re-released it in 2012 and completely adding this weird stuff, cutting out stuff, including all the suspense of the army guys with no longer have guns. What's that about? Go get the original version. Yeah, that re-release was like, why did they try to ruin something that needed to be in there? It's like, just because that's the character. Otherwise, yeah, there's no suspense. So yeah, M&M's messed up. They did, and they won't talk about it. They did. Yeah, so I want to talk about it. It happened in 1982. I didn't work for them. Anyways, It's my ET thing.